Squigboss is having a run for his money. We're going live. Hopefully it works. Okay. Fingers crossed. Button. There'll be something going down in Chinatown. Works. Might be some latency between it actually happening.
Don't press it.
Don't push the button. Now there are 2 likes. There you go. Someone's doing their
job. Look, competition is straight on the case.
There we go.
You got my job. How dare you?
Installing away from the green ones here. Squigboss is here. We have Marcos. It's the crack, gents. What is the story? Welcome to this Sunday's hobby hangout every 2 weeks that we've still stuck to it. And we've Dread Waaagh on today. What's the crack, Dread Waaagh? Say hello to the viewers, the subscribers.
Hello, boy. Boys and gits.
It's the story, gents.
And this is Giz, the cat.
Can you hear everything all right? Is everything there? Hans Gruber's here. I'm gonna throw up the usual, lads, where it's like the Discord, your work in progress. We're gonna do that as we normally do, where we do our live stream work in progress. So if you're doing some hobby along with us, well, we're doing hobby and we're chatting and talking banter, you know, the usual, drinking tea, whatever else. Feel free to throw it in there and we'll have a look near the end of the stream. So what's the crack with yourself, Dread Waaagh? What are you up to? What hobby have you got for today?
I think I'm a little delayed on your...
You probably are a little
Am I delayed?
Little delayed.
Not too bad, mate, not too bad. Yeah, we knew we'd have technical issues, didn't we, eh?
Just knew the joys of the internet.
Particularly when you live where I do.
Out in the
rural west coast.
Well, you know, it's a toss-up. It's like clean air, space for healthy living, or good internet, you know?
Yeah, if anyone wants to imagine what it's like here, just if you ever see Father Ted, that was shot here. Where I am. Not far from. Very similar landscape.
There is actually a house in the countryside. There is like the Father Ted house. I think it's in Kerry somewhere, is it?
No, it's on one of the Aran Islands in Galway.
Is it? I thought it was based on like an island, but it wasn't actually. We'll have to. I think that's
no. Craggy Island doesn't exist, but it's,
yeah, I know that. I thought the house itself wasn't on an island at all.
No, the house is there on one of the Aran Islands, and like everybody that visits the Aran Islands gets that photo. You know, you might see it on Tinder. Yeah, not that you're ever on Tinder yourself, but you see it in almost everyone's.
I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? I'm too busy these days. Wouldn't know about Tinder.
Nah, useless crap anyway.
Too true. So how's your Orktober going, bud? Have you been enjoying it?
From the Games Workshop. From a Games Workshop perspective, yeah, no, not really. They haven't done anything, have they, other than tease us a little Christmas goblin?
They dropped the ball a bit, alright. They're getting ready for Orksmas, I think, is their push, their drive.
Well, my rage for it is that, you know, last year was such a fucking letdown. Like, sorry, I shouldn't swear so much. Last year was such a big letdown, and then to not follow it up with anything, to not repair it, to not pay any attention to the outlash and the outcry from the community at all, and just to pass it over this year with a load of other armies, a load of stuff that other channels are talking about with such excitement. I'm just like, what? This is crap. This isn't what I want at all. And then you get moaned at, for being typical old orcs, always moaning about this, moaning
Never
about
happy.
that.
There's no pleasing you.
Yeah, just give us one actual bit of what we want once, and we'll be happy. That's all we want. Christ, someone to actually understand what an orc wants and actually deliver it for once. So yeah, not very happy with Games Workshop's Orktober. I actually thought, I'll wait, I'll see. God, I don't want to say anything too soon. They might come out of the barrel with science, but they ain't going to, are they?
No, at this stage, no. I think if there was something for Orktober as we see it, we would have seen it in White Dwarfs. And then we're having people going, oh, well, Games Workshop didn't actually say anything about Orktober. That's just been the community. But I think like the third-party suppliers have been pulling an absolute stonker this Orktober. Like Kromlech, like how far out were Kromlech going on about it? They were banging on about it months ago. months ago they were talking about Orktober. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I knew this would be the case. And the thing is, I think a very important point about the third parties is that if Games Workshop aren't providing for us, and they're clearly not, so that's one thing to be enraged about, you've got to then support these third parties that do. Otherwise, if you don't, then next year they won't. And so then next year, if GW don't, and they don't, then what have we got? Nothing. So you have to support them. You have to be like, yeah, I'm on board with this. I really do appreciate it. So definitely that's my angle. Like, I think, to be happy with the hand that does feed you, not the one that don't.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with you there.
To that point, actually, my video, I put out one about the hardcore minis boys. He's bringing out some new Orc boys, and I had 2 or 3 people actually sort of comment to the sort of tone of sort of like, I was really excited until I realised that it wasn't Games Workshop. Like, why? I mean, someone is still delivering them. They're still coming. They're not any better just because they're from GW, particularly.
Well, I think it plays into, like, Games Workshop aren't going to let you use third-party miniatures, so there's sort of a negative connotation with them then. I can understand people wanting new stuff off of Games Workshop, and then they're kind of disappointed that it comes from third-party, because it really should be coming from Games Workshop. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be dependent on small independent retailers to carry the torch, but they are, though, and fair play to them. Absolutely fair play to them. We have Bone Shredder Gaming's up in the house. What's the story, bud? Files here.
Bone Shredder, my name is not Stuart. Where the hell did you get that from, boy?
Well, I don't know. You might look like a Stuart to some people, I suppose. You know what I mean? You might do.
Stewie. Yeah. Maybe it's an English thing. Yeah.
Maybe it's an English thing. I wouldn't know. But Orktober's, it's not going too bad. There's a good few competitions going on.
Fuck off,
The
cat's gone.
The cat's torn, is it?
And I just got her off my lap so I can actually concentrate on hobby and this.
And chatting at the same time. I've got a competition going. You have a few competitions. There's a good few competitions going in Orktober, isn't it?
There is indeed. You can kneel Swift. Can win this. I actually, we only just figured out just before we went live that this is backwards, but I actually wrote it backwards thinking that it would be mirrored, because when I was looking through the webcam, it definitely was. So I went to all the effort of writing that backwards.
I thought, I fixed it for the stream, and I was like, why is that still backwards? And you're like, oh yeah, I wrote it backwards.
Oh, of course, because you can flick it around.
Not just a pretty face.
No, you're a pro at this, mate.
Dave's here, Mork and Gork here. What's the crack, gents? What is the crack? So what hobby are you working on, bud? I'm doing my build along for my competition, and you have your competition.
You actually are. You're actually building for your own competition.
I'm actually doing a bit of hobby. Like, what is the world coming to? Jesus Christ!
That is surprising.
Where's the real Skarnir, and what have you done with him? Like,
no, you tend to just get distracted with other things and not do your own competition stuff.
I'm what they call a hobby butterfly. It's like you just sort of go from thing to thing, and it's like, ooh, new shiny. Ooh, I get distracted.
That's me all the time usually. Yeah. But your competition actually completed something, so I jumped on the sort of Monat Skarnir bandwagon.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Well, so go on, tell us, how do you win your blimp? Or your
how to win the blimp?
Your blimp.
Well, this one was for the having been a year of Dread Waaagh Gaming, my 1 year celebration. So,
congrats!
Thank you. And I'm only I don't know. I'm really close to the 1,000. It's like 20 or 17 or something like that people away. So I'm really excited. But this is for the get in there, the birthday. So people have got to basically choose their favourite Dread Waaagh Gaming video, share it on public social media, and send me a screenshot. Simple.
How difficult and confusing could it get? You know.
So email a screenshot of your favourite Dread video shared on a social media platform like Facebook, Discord, whatever, and that's how you enter. Very simple. I've had a lot of entries actually for this one because it's such an easy one to enter. Not like the Dread Captain competition, which is, you know, everybody that's entered that has made an exceptional effort. Like, there's some amazing stuff. I can't wait. That's my next episode. It's the next one I'm going to be putting out. So people will be able to see all the amazing artworks that people have come up with. There's not that many, but what have come through are really, really good. So
some of the stuff is rather impressive. Is it Roshan's sculpture? Like, was that for that competition?
Roshan's is the.
Oh my god. That's
it
absolute
was, yeah.
madness.
That what has consumed his entire year almost.
Almost, yeah. It's like, yeah. I like the dedication to the cause. I'll give him that much. I do love his dedication to the cause. He does have some commitment.
Well, it just spiraled, I think, because he sort of started off with an estimation in his mind of probably about 150 or maybe 200 hours, and he's spent like 350 hours on it now, I think. So
it's just gone. Well, this is what happens with orc projects. You start off with a size in mind. You'll think it'll only be that big, and then it grows and it grows and it grows. That's why when I was doing the build competition, you put restrictions on. You know, just pump the brakes a little bit, lads. But you know, it is looking good.
Bear in mind, he had complete miniatures as like additional things on that. So the parrot for the shoulder it's a Dakka jet, you know. It's
the
size of a Dakka jet.
Don't get me wrong. It's like it's a scale unto itself. It's impressive. It is rather impressive.
All completely scratch built as well. Unbelievable. So yeah, that's a massive effort. I've got a few models actually. There's a few people that have entered models, and there's a few people that have entered images, artwork, paintings, drawings. Some of those are by some people that are kind of artists anyway, as such, that are into orcs, that have got Instagram accounts and whatnot. So there's some real cool stuff.
Oh, nice.
So I can't wait to share. I can't wait to actually be able to use it too, because I've been wanting to use some of these images on my channel because they are, you know, perfect for me to use. They're Dread Captains after all. But I haven't been able to use them because, you know, it shows a bias in the competition, really. So
yeah,
sort of I used one once, and someone said, "Is that one of the entries? Should you be doing that?" I was like, "Oh yeah, maybe you're right." Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose after the fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, after the fact it'd be fine. Yeah. So I'll wait. I'm just gluing an arm to a. I'm making a WAAAAGH banner knob at the moment.
You're making a WAAAAGH banner knob. Oh, well, yeah. It's funny you say that. I was hacking away at a tire here for a WAAAAGH banner knob I still have to finish from the last competition. It's nearly done. Still getting there. The last WAAAAGH banner knob from the last competition, the community award. So I was hacking up an old school tire because I wanted it to be because it's Speed Freak themed. I wanted to have a tire for a shoulder pad, and then do a Speed Freak glyph. So that's what I was messing around with. That's what I went digging for in me bits box, and then I was like, see, my problem is I have several bits boxes in different locations, so I'm trying to look for the bits I'm after. I went looking for a specific part for my vehicle build, which is these arms here off of the bottle wagon. I went specifically looking for these arms, and you know how it is. It's like when you went into your Lego box as a kid, because mine's not organized. It's just sort of like you're diving into the bits. You're having a good rummage, and you never know what you come across. It's like a lucky dip.
You say you was looking for, or you wanted to make a shoulder pad out of a tire. Did you see the recent video I just did there on the 4 Fun Minis?
Yeah. I was looking at that. Some of that stuff looks really good. I really like the legs.
He's got a tire. Did you see the very last thing I show is my favourite thing, which is a tire shoulder pad.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool, indeed. But I was getting that same aesthetic, that same sort of mentality. I mean, it's really good, man. Really good. We have who's the WAAAAGH hobby, lads? Come on, tell us. What is chipping away on?
Let's have a look at the chat. I've not paid attention to the chat. So
Hans is saying I'm going to have to contact Kromlech about my order. I ordered it on the tour. They've probably been busy, I'd say. I don't know. Like the last time I ordered at Kromlech, they were pretty good, but the guys seem to communicate quite a bit. So give them a shout there, Hans. I'm sure they'll sort you out. Dave is saying he wouldn't get too upset about Orktober. GW, I reckon we may get something for Psychic Awakening. I've heard that. I've heard there might be something on the way for Psychic Awakening, but it's like, Well, we'll see what happens if something happens.
It'll be a token gesture because we have to do something for every faction. So here's something for orcs.
Yeah, well, I feel it might be like Vigilus, where the orcs were a bit of a footnote, and then it was like, yeah, that was it.
When it could be something really good, like they could actually write into it that like all the WAAAAGH energy is increasing, so the orcs are literally giving power to Gazkrol or something and making him into a prime orc, and their belief is making him that or something. There's so much they could do with it, but they won't probably.
But we don't. There's potential. That's all we can say. There's so much untapped potential. I think.
I sound so negative, don't I? I've been let down so many times.
I can understand your frustration as like a long-term orc player myself. Like I've been into orcs. I think I've been into orcs for like 10 years. 2007, 2008. I've only been into orcs for about 10 years, actively collecting them. But even still, if you go back and look at the fluff and some of the older fluff and how it's progressed and stuff, you know, it's just, there's so much potential with it. Like, because there's so much that isn't hashed out. Like, there's so many different things that are still uncertain about orcs. Like, if you talk about the origin stories, it's like, well, the old school stuff, it was the Brain Boys, and then if you're looking at some of the newer things that have sort of retconned that as you go through, it talks about like the old ones and the Krork and stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, the old ones and the Brain Boys is only suggested that they're the same thing, isn't it? It's not actually said that they are suggested. So the Brain Boys would be the orcs tradition that they, that's what they would say, that they came from the Brain Boys, but from the later lore, like you say earlier, with the Necrons and stuff like that, that the Necron tier and all the old one stuff starts coming in. But when they sort of, if you listen to a lot of the lore channels or anything like that, that most of them would state that the orcs were made by the old ones as a weapon, same way as the Eldar. But then that leads you to sort of question how wise were the old ones if they created the orcs? I mean, the Eldar, you can understand. I mean, that's like a high-tech advanced weapon, isn't it? It's like a precision missile. It's going to do its job very precisely. But orcs is, that's a plague, isn't it? It's a brutal menace that doesn't go away.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be like an act of desperation. Their back is up against the wall or something like that. So they were like, let's make orcs. If that's the origin story.
Were they more controllable? Were they more intelligent then? That's the side of the lore that I'm really interested in. I think it's really interesting to sort of like wonder if there was smarter orcs or whether they were big. I mean, there was stories that they were bigger, but more intelligent actually is what I'm more interested in, because I personally believe that a lot of the lore that we have on orcs, in fact, even stuff in our own codex, is a lot of the time just imperial observations and propaganda, basically. Yeah. So it's, you don't encounter, if you ever encounter the orcs, they're just this, they're just that, blah, 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 and obviously even from human perspectives, humans from other cultures consider humans from other cultures to be idiots and stupid and inferior. Well, if you're talking about an entirely different alien species, it's really easy to make those assumptions, but they're not. Like, how can they be stupid if they create the stuff they do? And you can't just put it down to genetics. They have conversations, they do have, there's so many things in orc culture that wouldn't make sense if they didn't have a certain level of something, like even down to sort of, you ever think about it, they make clothing, they make clothing regardless of like, it might just be sewn together from scraps on the battlefield. It's still sewn together. They've still got skills. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I think a large part of that plays in, and you can see remnants of it. Like when the lore for orcs changed a good bit. If you look at first and second edition orcs, they were very vibrant. Their culture, you know what I mean, was sort of in depth and explored a hell of a lot more than it is now. I think what happened was with Gorka Morka, there was a shift or a transition then, because there was the second edition, and then I think Gorka Morka came out, and we had, if I'm correct, our third edition codex. I could be wrong on this, but between that, between like Gorka Morka and third edition, like orcs shifted from what they were previously. So they used to have like
Mad Max.
Yeah, they used to have like weapon skill and ballistic skill that was, similar. They used to be a bit better at shooting, but then it shifted. They became this lopsided, more towards close combat. and less towards the shooting, and then they became more of
the brutal, stupid thing.
They became more of a weapon rather than a race with a culture. But we still see trappings of that old lore, like Knobs, for example. Knobs is an abbreviation of noble because they're supposed to be the orc noble class. That's the original lore for it. Like,
I like somewhere particularly sort of in between myself. So like, I really, really appreciate the whole Mad Max grimdark aspect of orcs. I love that, and that's sort of the style that I want to paint to and stuff like that. But I do also feel that within that sort of arena of grim dark and Mad Maxy, there is still room, and Mad Max films are a perfect example of still room for a bit of comedy, still room for a little bit of like weird sort of steampunky accentuated stuff. You know, like I'm just working on a commando knob, and like this is a head from I think it's from Kromlech. It's got a massively accentuated. Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, it's got a massively accentuated eye thing. The zoom. I'll have to go back there. But like that's really steampunky, really like it's still very Mad Maxy, still very grimdark, but it's got an element of fun, you know. And that's what I love about orcs is you can still, you know, like the top hat orcs that you can get. I've got a few of those. I haven't used them yet, but I definitely will because I really like that idea of, you know, like some particularly. Oh, actually, I have used one. Actually, I did said that I have used one. I've got one here. It's a flash kit that's unfinished though. It's a long way off. But yeah, it just suits a flash kit to have a. That was focused then for a moment. That thing.
On you bastard.
Yeah, so my camera won't even focus properly. There we are. There for a second, it had it. Had it for a second, but that's one of them top hats.
The joys of autofocus.
Yeah. I've not used this webcam before, so sorry guys, I do apologise. It's the first time. It's the first time ever using webcam and PC to do any videoing thing.
You're like, you feel so alien. It feels so wrong. What's going on?
It does. It's weird having it there at the desk as well because it's taking up space, and I'm feeling like this is like Mork and Gork angle. Hey guys.
Yeah. I love his videos though, man. I love his Mork and Gork angle, but he's like, you get the feeling with Mork and Gork where it's like it's all hobby, and it's like he's get a video as like a little treat on the side. I like that though. I like that. I like the style everybody brings.
What I feel is that everybody that's an orc wants to call themselves a mech, but he is definitely one of those people where watching his channel, you literally do feel like you're peering over the shoulder of a mech at work. You know?
Yeah.
That's how I feel watching his channel. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He's very inspiring. Has his own unique style. I like that with folks. Eric Brown is here. Crack. A lot of people talking about the lore. Poke Cactus talking about it. Talking about the psychic resonance. Bones Shredder was saying about the psychic resonance crap actually comes from fluff. Illustrating that they're far more intelligent.
I've got
people give them credit for. True.
I've got a question for the guys there. If any of you guys want to discuss it, I want a little vote in the comments on what colour is orc blood.
Oh, Jesus.
Because talking about old school origins of orcs and stuff, it was mentioned in the first edition that at least that Grots and Snots were green blooded, but that was first ed. A lot of people paint orc blood as red, and a lot of people talk about it as being black or purple as well. So just interested to see what people's opinion is on what colour orc blood should be.
But I think that's...
And also Green Stuff World have just brought out a new product I just noticed, and I was thinking of ordering it from Hobby Mad, is the orc blood. It's like a green version of Blood for the Blood God kind of stuff. Yeah, so I thought I'd check that out.
I ordered a few bits there myself off of Hobby Mad. What did I do? I was looking forward to doing BattleTech, so I ordered a few. If I can dig it out, it's on my desk, on the mess of a desk. I bought some like Vallejo diorama effects. I haven't used it yet, but I reckon I'd give that a bash for base, and it seems like a really fine grit sort of. It seems finer than sand, and for the scale of BattleTech, I thought this would be really good. It's good base to work off of.
Yeah, I've got some of that stuff too. It's really great the amount that you get, for your money.
You get a good.
So much better.
How much is in it? I don't know if it says, but it's like 200 mils. It's like 200 milliliters, so 6.76 fluid ounces. Is it? Is that the? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's a fair little whack of it. I don't know. I'll give it a go. It looks good. It looks good. Yeah, if you're in Ireland, like I order stuff off of Hobby Mad all the time myself. Collections here.
Hey,
what's the crack?
Anywhere in the EU, I think postage is really cheap or free.
Yeah, I think they're postage.
And he actually keep. Like, I'm not like getting paid or anything by him at all, but the guy is really, really nice, and he actually carries most of the stuff in stock. So when you order it, you're not waiting for 6 months or a year. I am actually still waiting. Right, I ain't even joking. From one of the more well-known UK-based ordering companies that people like to plug all the time for their cheap rates of stuff. Oh my God, I've been waiting literally for now a year for the last part of an order that they split into, like, God knows, like 6 parts, and it was only paints and stuff like that. And one of the most frustrating things is they sent one of these paints that cost like €3 or something like that. They sent it on its own. I had to go to the post office and pick it up. So not only did I have to drive right out of the way to go and pick it up, then the post office charged me €6 because for some stupid reason. So I had to pay extra on it just for a pot of paint. I'm so pissed off.
Yeah, I hate when retailers do that. That their stock isn't actually a live account of what they have. That's a bit of a pain, alright.
Yeah. It says in stock, but you're going to wait 6 or 8 months for it, or 10 months, or 12 months. It's a joke. So yeah, if you want to avoid that, use Hobby Mad.
I'm in no way affiliated with them, but I do order with them, and I find that their stuff is it's good. Like, and anytime I have something to interact with them, they're always generally quick with a reply, and helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Claxton is saying they are
an open suggestion as well.
They'll talk about blood. It's red. People are saying red. People are saying black, but I paint it red. I don't know. I think people paint orc blood red because we're used to, like, automatically we assume if you see red, then it must. You know what I mean? Like, we project.
People asking who am I talking about? I didn't mention. I just said a well-known. You don't have to know.
Well, yeah, we
avoided it purposefully.
You'll join the dots yourself. You know what I mean, if you know enough.
Yeah. The common complaint to be had from that company I hear anyway. So.
Dave, it sounds like that Chinese market website. A few of them where you order something and you'll get it months later. Actually, I remember doing that for the phone case.
I've done this. I've actually ordered a bust. The bust that I actually use as my Dread Captains on YouTube, that image that I've used since the beginning, is of a bust. I can't remember who the original creators of it were, but it's available there on AliExpress. So I ordered it. So I thought I'll actually see what the quality of this Chinese resin is like, see if it is actually any good. I mean, I'm not going to buy any recast stuff, but just thought I'd see. Well, not any recast GW stuff. I suppose these things are recast because someone originally made them. So all of these things are rip-offs, I suppose. But we'll see. I want to sort of show people on the channel how good or bad the quality is and assess it.
Go from there.
It's a touchy subject, though. A lot of people really do hate on even the idea of
recasts. I can understand that. I suppose, yeah, why not? We'll talk about that subject, recast, and while we're at it.
Sure.
It is a difficult subject. Myself personally, my views on recasting, I'm not a fan of it myself, but I don't then turn around and judge other people who, for whatever reasons they want to use recast stuff. I'm not going to turn around and then, give people shit over it. You know what I mean?
Before we discuss it, we should actually determine what we're talking about, because recasting really comes in 2 forms, doesn't it? You've got home casting for yourself and your own personal use, and then you've got recasting to sell. I think they're 2 entirely different ball games. Because I think if you're buying something and you're recasting it at home for yourself, that is perfectly within your rights. That's perfectly within anybody's. That's not contradicting anything. But if you're casting and reselling to other people something that is somebody else's property, then that to some people constitutes theft, and in some laws in some countries does. So that's where the controversy lies. I think. I don't think there shouldn't be any controversy over home casting as I see it.
Well, I don't know the legalities of it, but me personally, yeah, I like if you want to recast stuff for yourself in your home, it's like, well, who's going to know? You know what I mean? You know, if that's what you want to do, then fair play to you. But
yeah, I mean, it's just as much a hobby as anything else. Is actually, taking something and recreating it. It's not like you're getting something for free. You've already paid for it,
and you've invested into it. And then, but there's also the flip side of where if some people will say, even if you're recasting something off of even at home, some people will turn around and say that's theft in and of itself because you're stealing that like intellectual property or a person's idea, or you know what I mean. So it's
you're not stealing it. You've already paid for it.
Well, that just depends. Different people have different views on it. Me myself, I'm not into it, but
well, that cost is already the cost of that is already associated into the cost of you purchasing it. That's why it costs what it does. Otherwise, you'd just be paying the material costs, which are fuck all. The reason you pay a high price is because you are paying for that intellectual property and that craftsmanship or artistic skill, or whatever it be. So if it don't matter what it is, like anything you buy, if you buy I don't know, anything you like, you just
TV.
you
We'll
can
say
copy
TV.
it. Yeah, if you've got the skills to then take that apart and go, oh, do you know what? I think I can make one of these out of timber myself, or whatever, or I just have the skills to do this, and go ahead and do it. Like I used to be a boiler engineer. I can. My spray booth is made from a boiler fan. I can take the things like boilers apart, and I found a couple in caravans and stuff like that, like water heaters that were completely gone, but I knew the make and brand, and I was like, oh, these are brilliant, or they used to be. So I've repaired them, from other bits and bobs because I know how. And that doesn't make me a thief, and that thing is not available anymore. It's just doing, isn't it? I mean, yeah. Anyway, sure there is some proper legal speak I could use, but I can't find it right now.
Legal lingo, yeah, I get you. But I suppose it all ties down to each person's individual sort of take on it. What way you look at it yourself personally, and how you.
Financially benefiting from somebody else's property, that's another matter, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I think like home casting, it's like me personally, I'm not too bothered about it if you do it, but then I don't produce miniatures myself, so maybe somebody who produces miniatures may have a different opinion on it. But then
we're not in the DVD. Go on.
Definitely, if somebody's like, if somebody's copying something specifically just to sell it on, I think that's for me personally, I'd be like, that's a bit.
Here's
much.
a really good example: compact discs. You buy a game or you buy a CD. A CD is a perfect example. Back in the days of CDs, if I bought a CD like an album or something like this, I would want to, and a lot of people did, make compilation CDs or whatever, play around with those tracks that you've purchased, and just for your own enjoyment at home, so that's what you do. You record it, and you might want a copy for your car and a copy for the house. You ain't going to go out and buy it twice. You've bought it once already. You've paid that premium price for that intellectual property. You now own that. Doesn't mean you can then go, if you make copies of it, you can't then sell them. That would be against the law, and that's exactly it. Making copied DVDs and copied CDs, that's illegal. Making copies for yourself at home is perfectly legal. That's why they would sell you blank CDs and blank DVDs, so you could do just that. That's the point. That apply that to modelling. It's exactly the same way.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
Point and case.
It's an interesting way to look at it, but I know quite a lot of people wouldn't agree with yourself, but I'm I'm of the if you're not doing any no harm, no foul sort of mentality. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Orc
Just
Stuff's
dropped in a
popped in.
shuffle,
He's
but
like,
really
YouTube says this is scheduled for 6 days from now. YouTube notifications for live hangouts are I don't know. They're like they're in a different time zone or on a different planet at this point, because it'll be a case of people will get the notification and then it'll be like, oh, the stream ended 4 days ago or whatever. It gets a bit crazy. It gets a bit crazy. Marcus is saying Dread is a pirate. But yeah, freebooten pirate in real life. The spirit of a pirate, alright. Definitely. Now, so me build. What am I cracking on with you? I don't know. I'm just mucking around.
The green says, well, what about giving an STL to a mate you bought?
Yeah. It's very interesting about like 3D printing. Well, first of all, the perception of 3D printing in the gaming community, and then the whole idea behind like Thingiverse and all these.
Technically, by what I've already said, technically, I would consider it kind of wrong, because that person should be buying it for themselves. But yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, isn't it? 3D printing and files and stuff like that. I mean, the way that's going to go, I'm certain, like if people are talking about, oh, Games Workshop might start making STL files and letting you download and print stuff at home. Well, as soon as they do, that's going to be pirated and given away for free by somebody somewhere, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't know, like on Thingiverse, I know on Thingiverse and these other sites that host files, I think you're given open permission. Now, I could be wrong here, but from what I gather, which is, I know very little about it, but from the rough concept I get of it, it's you can download the files and you can like print them off for yourself, but you're not to like make and distribute them. You know what I mean? And I think it'll be a case of like where I'm not sure about it is if somebody else gets a file and they don't have a 3D printer and bring it to you to then 3D print it for them. I'm not too sure that aspect of it. You know what I mean? I don't know enough about 3D printing and file sharing and all that sort of shenanigans.
Well, there's not a lot of law around it at the moment. That's just it. It's like, that's what a lot of 3D printing people are saying. Like, hopefully we can get to a stage before they're saying like the only thing that's going to get in the way of the advancements of what 3D printers can do, because they're kind of being driven now by the community, is just going to be the lawmakers. Lawmakers is what's going to get in the way. But then it's kind of necessary too to protect the people that are producing and making things. So.
That's true. Like if you can give tips on like these sites where you can download these files, you can donate to the creators, and I would suggest people do that if they're going to get a file that someone's invested so much time. There's other folk like Kyle.
But then that is relying. That's relying on people to be open and decent.
Yeah, that's true. But there's other people like Kyle or GearGuts where they have a Patreon. And you'll chip in a bit, and you'll get access to files. You know what I mean? So it all depends on what way people.
He's got loads of files. He's got loads.
He's got bucket loads. I've done a video on my channel, having an interview with him, and it's crazy. Like him and Roshan.
The interview that I was meant to have. Yours turned out so much better than mine. So fair play to you. It was a quality episode.
I can't organise a piss up in a brewery. Don't flatter me too much. I have this theory. I reckon if like it's a good thing that Roshan and GearGuts, Kyle, live in different continents, because I'd be worried. Like the two of them are so productive and so driven. It'd be like a critical mass of hobby madness if the two of them were in the same room. I just think the universe wouldn't be able to withstand it. There'd just be a rent in the warp itself, and miniatures would just be everywhere. Crazy creations.
It's like Mork one side and Cork the other.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're pretty much like the embodiments of the orc hobby gods.
Yeah.
We have Bone Shredder and the green one talking about foils. What was Bone Shredder saying? Not all foils are free. Some are commercial, e.g., printable machinery. They aren't on Thingiverse. Yeah, from what I gather, like Thingiverse is supposed to be, do you know, when you get a free sample of something, and the whole idea will be, oh, you really like it, you'll go in and you'll buy it. I think that's a lot of it, and then a lot of it is hobby enthusiasts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They were saying GW shut down a couple of companies for IP infringement, if I remember. Yeah, that happens as well. A lot of IP infringement and people cracking down, but
It's funny though, because GW are a weird case like that, because some of the time, like I hear from some third-party companies that they were really on their case, and then I hear from others that they've been really quite obliging and decent with them, and even sort of allowed them or accepted that they are making things in line with theirs. You know, that like it's weird. I don't seem to see any continuity in Games Workshop's way of. Yeah, there's no consistency to it, seemingly, because I've spoke to a lot of third parties now at this stage, and they all seem to tell a slightly different story, which is odd. So I think they play it case by case almost.
Yeah, that is interesting. I suppose, yeah, you've talked to an absolute load of third party makers, so I get you. Yeah. That is strange. I just had this perception that, you know, Games Workshop could, you know, like they're entitled to have to defend their intellectual property, but at times I've seen, you know, I felt they've gone a bit too far with some things.
If you want to see how far you can go and get away with, then the absolute limit is Wargame exclusive. Their stuff is the absolute limit of what you can get away with.
I'll go have a gander again.
Do.
Right, I'm at a stage in my build here where I've nicked the tracks. If you've noticed, I've nicked the tracks off the Grot tank. Now, taking into account that these tracks are bigger than the Le Mans Rust tracks, I think I built them a bit too big. Starting off. Yeah, I think I was a bit too, because I think they're about 15 mil wide, something like that. I think they're about 15 mil wide by about 5 mil deep. So I went a bit mad, and I've got the tracks built. But I'm at a stage in the build now where I haven't decided what to do with the hull. So I've got some plastic card. First of all, let's just hash it out. I'm at a stage now where I've got some bits and pieces. I have the exhausts I've detailed up, so I know I want to use the exhausts. I've got a couple of them. These were on this vehicle. I ripped them off and redid them. I gave them a bit of detail, and I'm going to do, I have clump foliage. So I'll do smoke coming out of the stacks, right? I have that bit hashed out in my head. I also have this bit hashed out that I've decided this is definitely part of the project, where I want a Baneblade turret. So I don't want to use looted wagon as the vehicle, because I think that the guns on the looted wagon are a bit weedy. Like, this is a Le Mans Rust, or this is a Baneblade gun. It's a big stonking gun, and I want to glyph it up and do it. I'll orcify it, whatever. I have that bit hashed out, right? So I'm going to use a big track. But the thing I haven't decided is what to do with the main hull, because the tracks overlap a little bit. That's why I've cut off. If you look at the back of the hull here, I've literally hacksawed off some bits of it so I can have space for the tracks. But I don't know whether I should keep the original hull, or whether I should build a new one from scratch, or whether I want the gun mounted forwards, like normally, like on Le Mans Rust, or if I want to do the gun mounted backwards and try and give a bit more space for the exhausts, stuff like that. That's the stage at this build. It's still sort of like, I have a rough idea of the main bits I want to use, and I do like oversized turrets on tanks. It does look very orky and cool, particularly on grot tanks. But I think with that turret on that body, you'd either need to like extend it out at the back and build it up, or I'm thinking, no, there's definitely for the back of it, there's going to be like extra boxes and stuff like that, so that I have the exhausts. Like, build a box in the back here, build a box so that the exhaust can come out and stick out, partly because the turret sticks out so much. But I find the idea of like a Baneblade turret that was put onto a Manrus kit hilarious, because you know the orcs would do it. You know they would.
Yeah. But maybe they would raise it up a bit though.
Yeah, so this is the part of the project I'm at now. I want to. I think I need to do something with this. I just haven't. It's like it's the make or break sort of point. Once I put like a hacksaw to this, there's no going back. And I find this I think this actually holds me back from doing more hobby than I normally do.
The decisions.
It's not so much the decisions, but it's sort of like the fear of ruining a project.
Yeah,
you know
I mean?
Like the miniatures aren't cheap. I don't really care about this Le Mans Russo. I've had it for years. But it's like if you're converting stuff, you don't want to make a bags of a miniature that's like €60 or €40. So I find, like me personally, I find that plays into part of the reason why I don't finish stuff. I think is sort of that indecision.
Your bits are precious. All your bits are precious. You're like me. You're a hoarder of bits. So each and every one is precious. So if you're going to commit it to something, it wants to be worthwhile.
Exactly, but I find personally that sort of hinders me. You know what I mean? I need to sort of just not
of course
care.
It does. But then I've had this conversation with myself many times. It's like, but you can just go, do you know what? I've got all this stuff. I'm going to crash into it, and I'm just going to like make fucking hundreds of orcs all in one go, and it's going to be great. But it's not, because you're going to look at them and go, I really, and then you're going to look at other people's incredibly posed armies and incredibly good armies, and you go, I could have done that though with mine. So I would rather take the time and make each and every one. Like, I like to make each orc look to me like a character that I enjoy and I like. And if I even make a single boy who just doesn't have a character, or it just looks so generic to me, I'm just like, nah. And it gets chucked into a drawer that I'm like, I'll work on that with some green stuff later, or do something else with. Yeah. It's only the ones that are a combination of bits and a pose and everything that really combines and works well that end up being ones that go, that's going on to the next stage, onto the spray booth stage. I'm really tough on myself like that, and I don't have anything much finished. But
I think I think you're touching on a subject there, especially that orcs suffer. It's because they can tend to be large armies. I suppose the struggle that some people will have with the orcs is, at what point you have to find that balance between getting a large enough army with a large model count built and painted. At what pace do you want it done, and then to what extent do you want those miniatures customized? You know what I mean? Are you more?
Depends on your motivation.
Yeah. I suppose,
if you're a gamer, you want to be able to play, but I'm not fussed about playing. So for me, I'm a modeler. I want people to, I want to be able to look at my own cabinet and just go, I made that. I'm really proud of that. That's what I want, is a cabinet full of models I'm very proud of, rather than rush into a game or a tournament. I play when I've got enough to play with. I'm not fussed about at the moment, the game isn't really at a place where I'm particularly all that interested. I played 2 games so far of 8, and I was like, that's all right. Nothing to write home about. I'm not excited about it. So,
I understand. I'm in a bit of a funk when it comes to playing the game itself, but this build, I'm really enjoying it. It's really weird. Like, it's
I'm way more into the building aspect at the moment. That's just it.
But like, when I started into orcs, that's not what it was at all. I think this is why, in large, me personally, I have a lot of unpainted miniatures, because I really enjoyed playing the game. So I built miniatures to play the game back when I was playing a lot of it back in like the late would have been 5th edition, early 5th edition, that type of stuff. I was focused on getting stuff built to play with rather than painting. But then I think you suffer the issue that you were talking about, where it's like you'll end up with a lot of the guys who are the same pose, or the vehicles that are the same, and then you're going back to stuff that you sort of half painted just for a competition, and you know what I mean. You're like, oh, I need to put my own personal touch on it, that type of thing. So I
Yeah.
think you're right. It depends on your priorities. If you're just wanting to play the game, you might want to just build them as quickly as possible, get them painted as quickly as possible. Or if you're more into the sort of hobby aspect of it, it might be sort of just a slow burning, you know, this is something I just do as, you know, this is your hobby, is doing the hobby aspect of it. It's just, you've no rush. There's no need to rush a
Yeah.
project, and you're more interested in having personal touches on things. It's, yeah, I think that's that's something that some of us would struggle with. I don't know, like people in the chat, does anybody else? Because I know me and you seem to be of a similar mentality on that. I'd be interested if other people are of the same thing. Kyle is saying struggle with large armies. This is a strange subject to me. There are there are exceptions to the norm, Kyle, as we've already discussed. Underdog paintings here. What's the crack, bud? Yeah, even Hans is like, yeah, but Kyle, you're not like the rest of us. uh,
insert Carl's laugh.
It's crazy. Orc stuff is saying customize them all. Zog the years it'll take. Yeah, I can get that all right. But then you don't want to be leaving it too long, like me, or just like you as well. You were saying there before we went live. You don't want to leave it too long, because what happens is you go digging for one bit and you find a whole different kit or a whole different thing you've totally forgotten about.
Yep.
I came across sprues of stuff when I was digging in a bits box. Sprues of stuff, bits and pieces, all because I was looking for one specific set of arms, and then
This
I
is
came across like,
where we differ, isn't it? Like bits boxes.
oh yeah,
Yours is a terrible shame, my friend.
well, mine's a lucky dip of a bits box, so I like to go for a bits box dive, and God knows what you'll find. I'll know there'll be a bit in there that I want specifically, but it could take me like an hour to find it. But I know it's in there. You know what I mean? It's like
punch a squig's brain in until you've got some wet gooey stuff on your fist, and then you rummage it around in the bits box, and whatever comes out, that's what you're making.
Well, you know, you might find stuff along the way to get you inspired. You know what I mean? Odd bits and pieces to help with your build. You know, you might find a bit and go, oh yeah, that'll work on that bit of that project. You know what I'm saying?
So when you sent me a picture of your bits box and I saw vehicle bits in amongst with like figure parts like arms and stuff, I was like, okay, no, this is just doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
What is this madness?
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's all got to do with space as well, I think. I'd love to have stuff organized. Like I do to some extent. I have like some of those you know, the screw organizers. I've got one or two of them that's just full of like arms and legs and heads and torsos for boys. So I do have some organization, but not an awful lot.
I'm one of those OCD organization is key types.
Orc and Gork are saying, get looting and painting, and some things get done when day's done. That's true, but it does be at different paces for different people.
It's really easy to get green stuff stuck under your fingernails, isn't it?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like the leftover greens. What do you do with your leftover green stuff?
That's what I'm just doing right now. Actually, is I've literally just there when we was preparing for this live chat. I was going through some of my bits, and I discovered I had some Green Stuff World rivet makers that I had. I think I ordered like about 2 years ago, and they had never even literally just took them out of the baggie just there. I was like, oh, and there's me always scratching my head for what to do with that leftover green stuff, and I've got some of these, so I thought, yeah, I'll give them a little whirl, give them a try out, because I'm actually going to be doing I'm going to do an episode about rivets soon anyway, just talking about different ways of doing them. So then it's good to have a few set in here, ready-mades. Yeah, so I can go, here's one I made earlier.
Proper cook show. I love it. Love it. Who's saying what? Kyle is saying, eventually I'll have enough custom stompers to play Kill Team at 10 times the normal scale. Yeah, we've seen pictures of your army, Kyle. It's impressive. Very impressive.
I've got a question actually for him about his army, if he can answer in the comments. There is as he's using knobs for all of his normal troops, does he use the boys like looters guns, the what do you fucking call them, big loot
Def guns?
Guns, what are they called now? Def guns, yeah. Does he take the standard def guns and just big them up, or does he make his own, or what's he done in them sort of circumstances when it comes to specialist units?
So
drop it in the comment, man.
Drop it in the comments. Tell us your trade secrets. Spread the love. I'm looking for a piece of styrene rod I specifically put aside for making rivets, but I think, oh no, there it is. No, that's not the right side. Need a bigger bit. This is the problem I have with my chaos. That is my desk. It's like you put something down and it disappears. Big enough rods? What size rod will we use? What size rod are you gonna use? Where? Pimp Muay Thai is here. What's the crack? Pimp Muay Thai. I'm currently customizing 302nd Ed and current grot top. Make them all unique. It's hell, but it'll be you, mad scown. I was only digging up a load of second Ed grots for someone, because I know exactly what ones you're talking about. You're talking about these gits here. These god-awful single pose, probably painted in rainbow colour grots. These ones.
Okay. So Carl's saying that he has no two looters the same, apart from those tin boys I've been printing.
Oh, the tin boys, yeah.
But did you make the
tin boys are one of his 3D prints?
Yeah, but he's got some GW miniatures in amongst those 3D prints, isn't he? Not just, I mean, he has got some normal knobs and stuff in there, hasn't he?
Azajev has joined the stream. What's the crack? Well, it looks like the Skarnir is still trying to paint his entire Orc collection from 10 years ago. You're right, Azajev. I am still trying to paint my Orc collection from 10 years ago. The problem has been I've added to it since then. So it's like a snowball that keeps growing as it goes down the hill. It doesn't seem to be slowing down. It's yeah. I know I will pass away in my late years as an old man, and they'll bury me with literally probably a truckload of sprue. I think somebody will be getting some bargains. Somebody will be getting some bargains when the missus will try sell them off for the price I told her to do it. You know what I mean? Oh god. Right, so grot sponsons. That's what I wanted to do. I have this little grot gunner. I'm going to take off his base, and this one. And the idea is going to be that I'm going to chop.
You're going to cut it off and put him on a 32, is it?
Get out of here, you and your filthy 32mm base talk. Well, how dare you, sir? You insult me so. It's I think they have big shooters or something like that, but the whole idea will be instead of the side sponsons that the Rust would normally have, I'll do a little side platform and put the grots, obviously take them off the base.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Well, it's not a unique concept.
Oh no, I ripped off of someone else as well. I've got a Lehman Russ. I did exactly that with both the sponsors. Are actually the old metal grots with the rifle held up, you know.
The rifle held up. Oh, these gits, is it? These ones, metal gits. The old Gorka Morka ones. This one's got like a blunderbuss.
Hang on, I've got a delay. So hang on.
Oh yeah, there's a few of them. I do have a lot of grots.
There's quite some delay. Oh, there he is. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that. But I think I want to actually make these part of the miniature. Normally, I don't bother with this type of intricate stuff because it.
I want to get that.
like, I suppose that's another war that you have to fight as an orc player. It's between what looks good and what's durable as a wargaming miniature. Like, what's your opinion on it? Would you stick like banner poles and all these extra gubbins and stuff and machine guns that are on the miniature and
Only,
look nice?
only,
Or
only if I'm going to magnetize them. I had this big discussion with Cruiser about this once before, because he's made some miniatures before that were absolutely ridiculous with detail, like this skull hammer. If anyone wants to care to look for the Cruiser skull hammer, it was immense, and it had a massive flag detail on the back that was all bent and curved in the wind and stuff. But the problem with things like that is they are delicate and they do break easy. And once you've put a lot of effort into creating something like that uniquely, like, it's a real heartache when it breaks. I mean, like, actually, my Grot tank that I built for your competition, that dropped and smashed on the floor. So, you know, massive heartache. Yeah. So my opinion is keep it. Like, orcs are very good for being able to have sort of a very robust sort of look anyway. I mean, look at Gear Guts 3D prints. They're a good example, actually, because they have got a very robust sort of orky look. They're not covered in little intricate bits that stick up. You can add them, sure, but they are generally going to break. So depends. How you base something as well can make a difference. Like, if you've got a particularly fragile miniature, like a lone standing miniature, and it's got bits and bobs sticking off it and blah blah, then perhaps build a base that's got a just a right angle section of a bit of broken wall behind them, a piece of scenery that actually protects them from being damaged. All right, you might box in some of the details and not be able to see them, but you think about that, you know, like, just build into, or think about it as you're building it, to make sure that you've actually considered how breakable something is. I mean, I think everyone makes those mistakes when they first start out. Most of my first miniatures were ones that were too highly detailed like that and all broke. So tend to not go that way so much anymore. And if I do have anything sticking off, like I say, I try and put a magnet on it so it can ping off and drop off, and that's fine. It won't break.
I think it depends on
I'm just trying to find out
a few things. Like, I'm finding that some aspects of the hobby don't really help. Like, the fact that some of the kits are getting bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? I find that doesn't help when it comes to transporting. So I suppose like people could go for really intricate, dynamic poses that are more susceptible to breaking. But then if you're going to put in the effort of the transport cases specifically for those type of miniatures, you know, fair play to you. But you'll still get like I look at some of the new Eldar stuff, and it's all super up in the air, spear sticking out, gun, and like really thin pieces.
Oh, yeah.
I look at them and I just think to myself, that's gonna snap. I feel if I stare at things like that too long,
even in a phone case, they'll snap. Yeah.
Yeah, because you might catch them on the foam and they'll break. So I think,
yeah,
you know, the super dynamic stuff is more susceptible to
you're much better off making a magnet carry case, putting magnets on the bottom and carrying in a magnet box. Much better off.
I've seen that. Yeah, there's quite a few ways you can do transport. Quite a few people using toolboxes and magnetizing them, that type of thing.
Yeah, magnets is the way to go, I believe. I really do. I think it's much better off. The magnets should definitely be something that I talk to people at the start of the hobby. It's just something you should do right from the beginning, the same way as a wet pallet. You know, it's just one of those things that we haven't known about. Yeah, we haven't known about it since the beginning of the hobby, but since that enlightenment's been brought in, let's consider that a basic standard, shall we? Come on. And I think the same applies with stuff like that. Actually, do you want to do a quick zoom in? Because I've just found, actually, for you, the tank that I was talking about with the cutouts on the side. So I actually put some, like, a little door in there and some little deep. I'm so sorry. There's a little door inside this hatch and some little details inside, so it's not just plain in there. It's got some rivets to go on yet. And same the other side, little door, some details up on the wall and stuff in there. Because this is a looted Lehman Russ I never actually finished. see the tracks are not done in the style like you've done them. These are the sort of just stick pegs on, and I was going to then add details to these afterwards. I only got that far with it, and I left it because of the fact that I cut out a bit at the front and was going to do like a driver in there, but then I don't know, I changed my mind, so just got that far and went, it's going in the box.
Yeah, so you were just as bad as me, really.
Oh, dude, vehicles boxes. I've got two big, really useful boxes full of half-finished vehicles.
Projects that have just not quite made it.
Yeah, man.
How do you find making rivets?
Oh, well, that's making rivets.
I'm making an absolute arse of this.
Depends on the. Oh, you're doing the chopping method, all right? Yeah. Maybe sometimes. I've found different solutions at different times for losing the little bits pinging off. Having a cloth.
I tend to
having a cloth sort of like wrap
like that, and then even if it does ping, it will bounce off my finger. Get me? You know what I mean?
Getting like a cloth or a tea towel, and wrapping it in a sort of like in a semicircle.
Yeah, I've done that as well, where you build like a little net.
Often hit that.
You build a net of material to give it a bash and go from there.
Sometimes, you know, like you're chopping them up to glue them on, but another method that is sometimes really useful is actually to take your Dremel or whatever rotary tool you've got. I actually don't have Dremel, I've got Proxon, and just drill a very fine hole and actually instead insert the rod into the hole and then cut it off after you've glued it in, because then you can actually get a more consistent level on the rivet head, you know. So
yeah, if you wanted like a
when you're cutting them with a knife like that, yeah, I mean, at the moment there's like, you know, a millimeter difference between a lot of those rivets, I'm sure.
But I come back then, if I only tend to do it, like if I find some of the rivets are really tall, I'll come back with me little foil and I'll foil the rivets. I just find that though hilarious. It's like you go into the minutiae of riveting up stuff and then trying to make it so that some of them don't stick out too much. But then it's like you sort of, I find I sometimes get lost in the detail.
You need that.
And it's like I should focus on
the project. That's what brings like.
Yeah. I think you're right though. You need the detail. You do. Oh, a top shit. What was I watching? I was watching a scale modeler and I got this tip off of him. I don't know if you do it. But if you get a Coke can and like you cut it down and put like the lid and into the bottom of it, you just cut out the middle of it a bit. Now this is a bit sharp, so I would suggest you like tape it up or something if you're gonna do this. And if you're young, get an adult to help. So you'll need someone to help you there, Dread. Yeah. But I don't know who I don't know who I saw this off of, but I find if you put the glue into the base of a can, like an aluminium can, you can control it better. So you'll put the glue in, and you can dip the rivet into the glue on the aluminium. And what I tend to do is I'll dip in the glue, and then any excess that I want to get off, I'll put on the side. I'll do a bit here, so I'll get like me Tamiya cement. I'll give it a bash. Can you even see that? I've never seen that done. You've never seen this done?
It's only just started. No, I've never seen anyone use a can like that. When you just flashed up on just there, because I've got such a delay. When I saw that, first of all, that miniaturized can that you've got, I thought, oh, he's made a hobo stove.
Hobo stove. This is so this is a can that's been cut down. I think I've seen someone. I think it was a scale modeler or something like that. And that's what I find interesting is you'll find cool little tips like this all over the place. From different places. Like the paint holder I have in front of me on my desk is like a nail varnish rack. So you add in a bit of glue. So you have the glue controlled. You have exactly how much you want. And then say if I want to put, say that much, just do a little stab, and dip it, and then I dip it against the wall to take the excess off, and then I just sort of knock it down. Get it to hold, maybe.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a bit of a pain, but yeah, just be patient with it, and then you do that, and then pretty much it. Sometimes you might lose the rivet in the glue. And then, yeah, so I always dip in, dip against the wall, get the excess off. And then...
So you ain't got space for proper bits boxing, but you've always got space for cans, eh?
We always make space for cans, don't we?
You are Irish, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like sometimes you live up to the stereotype. Mind you, it's a Coke can. It'd be proper stereotypical Irish if it was a Guinness can.
Yeah.
But I saved that for me pints of milk. And then it's really easy to just clean the can off, because once the glue, any excess glue that you have, if it dries, you'll just peel it off. I should have cleaned the underneath of the can when I was doing this. But I find I'll just have a crack at that like this. Do up the rivets. I like to do the quarters as well, so I do like north, south, east, west of the vehicle, and then you can sort of, you don't want them too close together. I find that
I'm smiling away to myself here, thinking of my Irish jokes in my own head, and I'm like, no, I can't tell that one.
Feel free to share if you want. But I've cut the rivets off of this barrel because of the way it was cast. Some of the rivets are on sideways or something like that. You know what I mean? They're not, because of the way it's cast. It's obviously cast in two halves. Some of the rivets come out long on the side of them. You'll know when you see them. You'll know yourself. They don't protrude directly out because when it's cast, it wouldn't cast properly. I am describing what I'm trying to say really badly, but I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say.
Talking about casting and talking about as the situation you were talking about a little while ago about the breaky bits. That's the other thing. I mean, it depends. When you're building a conversion, are you mostly making it a plastic card and GW parts? If you are, then it's going to be GW plastic parts. I mean, then it's going to be quite tough. You know, once it's the glue set, they are relatively tough. They do bounce. You know, it's a type of plastic that is more durable. Whereas if you, considering that you're using a proper HPS or HIPS plastic card, if you're using ABS plastic card, it's a bit more brittle, as resin is. And so things that are made of resin and stuff, you know, a lot of kits that I've not bought are because they are just so intricate, and you look at it and just go, well, even if they cast that without it being all bent and covered in crap, then once I've finished it and I've painted it, it's going to break anyway, so no thank you. So that would generally put me off of a resin kit if it's too finicky.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. Like at least with the plastics, when we were talking about some of the dynamic kits and you drop them, they'll bounce, some of them. Whereas if it's resin like that, it'll definitely die a horrible bleeding death. I gotta throw the link into the chat again, guys, for the Discord. So throw up your work in progress, and we'll have a Luke get the chance. Green one saying I cut through 50.
A look at the Discord.
Good deal, yeah. With rod and rivets, just a new 23 blade and a scalpel, and catch it with your finger as you slice through. You get used to the depth as you do lots. Yeah, I think you sort of like, you get your eye in on it after a while. But for those
used to cut through your finger after a while.
Well, yeah, that happens as well. You know, that does happen. Or you drop the scalpel blade and you stab yourself in the leg. I've managed to, yep, I've managed that one as well. Like a genius I was. At least it was a clean blade.
Actually, in hobby, this is something that people might relate to, is there are certain repetitive processes, if you're hobbying a lot, that can cause like calluses and fucking tough skin, and or blisters and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I've regularly, on one of my fingers, I've always got a bit of hard skin on the side of my finger from like the way I'm always using tools, particularly little metal ones like this. Actually, it's the gripping of little metal things like the sculpting tools, particularly, that they always rubbing on my fingers and cause little rough patches on the sides. I'm sure other people must experience that too.
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's like guitarists, if they
Yes, I do hobby enough to get that.
How much do you hobby enough to get calluses? It's like,
yeah, I do. Honestly,
I get you. It's not perfect, but it'll do for a detail on a tank. You know what I mean? Definitely. Another top tip would be to always start at the top and work your way to the bottom. That way, if it doesn't line up, no one's really gonna see it. You have to be cheeky about these things. You know what I mean? You really do.
Yeah, I think I watched somebody the other day talking about orcs. Oh yeah, it was somebody, I can't remember who it was now. Just finished a orc kill team, and they were just assessing their year that it took them to build this kill team, and just saying like a lot of the orc miniatures are not very well composed from a painting perspective. That, you know, there's too much going on a lot of the time.
Very busy.
And that they're very, very busy, and it's hard to keep the focus on the face. So like, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, well, you know, like having that sort of perspective of thinking right from the offset of like, where do I want the focus of this miniature to be? I know like when you're scratch building, it is difficult to do that because it's a lot of the time organically just growing as you're building it. But once you've done something that you're really, well, if you've got an idea in mind for your tank and it's like big turret and sloppy tracks, that's the two things that you want to accentuate.
Yeah, the visual
try and focus on that and try and achieve those. Yeah,
of the miniature.
Don't do too much with one model, or don't try to do too much with one model.
Don't get it too busy. No, I get what you're saying. I think that's what I'm trying to do with this build. Is it's all turret and tracks, but I think the thing that I'm trying to do now is I want to add enough detail for it to instinctively be orky rather than this is just an Imperial vehicle. You know what I mean? I want it to be orcified, but I don't want to go too crazy. You know, I'm not going to add like glyph banners and all. You know, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You can oversaturate a miniature to make it too busy, and visually, it's not as gathered together is the term that comes to my mind. But I know that's not is not what my brain wants me to say, but you know how it is with words and things. Yeah, the things with the stuff and the, you know what I mean. You get what I mean. Bone Shredder Game.
Yeah, it's 1984, mate. That's
he was saying Adam Savage you were watching. I think I've seen Adam Savage do it, but I don't think he was the first one I saw. It was a scale modeler.
I was about to get political then. I just remember.
Oh, you were about to get political. Good thing I put you off there. I was about to apologise, but if it was getting political, none of that. None of that. The green one saying, yep, dropping the scalpel and slicing fingers from blade belly. That's what super glue is for. Yeah. I was smart, actually. Super glue was this Bob Smith Industries stuff. I bought that off of Hobby Mad. And then I was like, well, I'll buy like, I bought an accelerator so I could speed it up. And then afterwards,
which one did you get? The gap filler one? Oh, yeah.
I got the gap filler one. That's a really good one. Yeah. And then I was even smarter again. I was like, I know I'm prone to gluing stuff together. So I bought the bottle of Uncure. I haven't used this yet, but I've never had CA remover. And I'm like, this seems like a good idea.
Uncure.
It's literally what it's got. I love it. But that's where, like...
Yeah. I really could have done with that a few weeks back when I was introducing my best friend's kid to Gaslands. And I said, hey, look, I've pulled out, I've got my bits box and I got a few bits of, you know, like orc weapons and stuff that I know I've got multiples of and stuff like that. And I said, look, we can cut some of these up and we can add them to some cars. So we sat down and we've got a community, like I live in a kind of commune type place. So we've got like a big long community space, so we've got a few community spaces, and one of them's like this room with lots of tables in and stuff. So we was over there chilling out, and set all the stuff up on the table, and this little bugger, like as soon as we had our eyes off him, he had the super glue and he glued his fingers all together. So he had to run to the bathroom and run him under hot water, and it still weren't happening. And it's like, I know, my mate was going, oh God, his mum's going to kill us. Because he's only borrowing him, he's got to take him back at some point, and when he takes him back, and then mum's going to give him an earful.
Oh, this is it. We were all the same, man, you know what I mean?
Could do with some decelerator.
Ungluer.
We don't want him to be banned from the hobby before he even starts.
What? No, he's not allowed to play Gaslands, which is because he glued his hand into a fist the last time. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
Hobby accidents. Hobby accidents. That's what we seem to be regaling. Dave saying, a hobby knife landed on my lap once and I wasn't wearing any underpants or trousers. Thankfully, it landed sideways. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. Really cringing in your seat there, you'd be.
You know what my wife's accident was actually? It was with a Dremel. Where is it now? I've never used it since. This was literally about a decade ago. This thing here is about a decade old. It's a Dremel circular saw blade. And this thing literally cut into my finger. Like, right in, like, went down almost to bone. So I have always and ever since refused to buy a Dremel brand because it was a complete problem with the actual thing, not me. Like, it just... anyway... I don't like Dremel. That's why I buy Proxon instead now. I hate them. I'm as nervous about them as I am about motorbikes, because I had, like, you know, when I was young, I always thought motorbikes were, you know, loud and scary but cool. So I want to have a go. And I got on someone's motorbike when I was a young one, only a young teenager, and I got on it and I fucking went back like that, went flying straight into the back of someone's car that was parked. So got in a load of trouble for it and everything, you know. So I've been terrified of motorbikes ever since that.
That's good. It traumatized you.
Same way, I'm scared of Dremel. Yeah.
Traumatized some sense into you, did it?
It did, mate. Yeah.
I like motorbikes, but I think I've only ever been on one once, and I wasn't driving, and it's just, yeah, they're mad, absolutely mad.
I wouldn't mind a Harley Davidson. Do you know my mum and her husband actually had, and I didn't even get a chance to ride it before they sold it. They had the Terminator 2 Fat Boy.
Yeah.
They had that bike, and they were, yeah, man. And like, this is my mum. She's well cool. Her and her husband, they're Harley riders. Well, they were. They've just got rid of their Harley, which is really sad. You know, they only had it a few years. I thought, I'll get a chance to ride it. But yeah, no, they're going for a couple of different bikes now. I'm not sure what they're going for. But, you know, they had the one big one between them, and now they're going for 2 bikes instead, I think. So.
Well, it's like a car, mate.
But yeah, up until only
sharing a car is not
up until only a few years ago, my old nan was.
Your nan was on a bike?
My old nan was the exact same. My old nan used to hop on a Harley too.
Fair play to her.
Yeah, my nan and my mum, I used to joke, like, when they were both, you know, at that sort of stage, and I was back home, I used to joke and say, "God, blimey, my mum and my nan are cooler than I am."
It's cool to have people that are like that are still active. You know?
Yeah, I always thought I had a very cool mum, which is a nice feeling. You know?
Bless your cotton swacks.
No, she's not watching this. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that for any reason.
He's trying to earn brownie points on the slide here. He's like, "Hey, Mum, I'm gonna be on later."
Yeah, fat chance.
So someone's fishing for a decent Christmas present this year, huh? Yes.
I'm fishing for a Christmas present. I live in Ireland. There's an effort even to get anything.
What, to get
anything?
Don't forget
me over here.
Oh, I suppose you live.
No, for anyone.
Did you not go home for Christmas?
They're just like,
He's a big boy.
Actually, I've been here now 7 years. I've been home twice for Christmas in the 7 years I've been here. So, this year, actually, I'm going back to Poland. I'm going back to my friends in Poland because I had such a great time, and I'm going to meet up with hopefully some of the other third-party companies that I missed. Yeah.
Oh, crack.
And also, I had a little date when I was out there the last time too, and so I'm going to meet up with her again.
Mr. Smooth Operator. Love it. Love it. Love it. Crack. I think the last thing the guys were regaling about was the hobby mishaps. Dave is saying, or the green one is saying, that I'm usually standing when I'm doing hobby stuff. Dave was talking about since he had his close encounter that he stays close to the table. So, Dave, that literally happened to me. What you're talking about, where the blade fell, and I was wearing my jeans, and literally, you know, if you drop something, I got myself into a habit. I'm used to dropping bits, and I'm used to catching it with my legs. So, instinctually, when I dropped the blade,
so you throw your legs together.
I went to catch it with my legs,
You chuck your legs together
and stabbed myself in the leg like a muppet. And then went around the house looking for.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, went around the house looking for a band-aid or a plaster. We didn't have any. We didn't have any antiseptic wipes. I think it was like this, where you're doing hobby late in the night, and we didn't have any antiseptic wipes, so I literally had to super glue the thing closed and wash it out with like Jameson whiskey. It was like, yay! And it kept busting open. It was a pain in the ass. I had to get paper stitches. Never again. Hilarious.
Of course, you've got Jameson whiskey.
Of course, yeah, of course. Look, like I don't.
Oh, jeez, of course.
I don't drink it that often, but it's you know. It's where I was an alcoholic. I don't actually drink that much, Dread. You know what I mean? I don't. Now, if you're talking about tea,
you wouldn't. You're a public man, so you probably wouldn't really appreciate this, but I prefer the Bushmills.
No, actually, yeah, I do prefer. I do prefer Bushmills. I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We agree with you there.
Yeah, trade has here a lot of
time. I've been up to the distillery in Antrim a couple of times. Good crack. Good crack. Yeah. I like it there. Yeah. Nice.
They do the Bushmills Gold. That's really smooth. It's very nice. Yeah. Irish whiskies are actually making a comeback. There's a load of Irish distilleries that started up in the last sort of 10 years that are at the moment just pushing out sort of gin at the minute. But their first batches of whiskey are. Yeah, the gin craze is literally just because of the whiskey companies are making gin at the moment because it's quicker to make gin. So that's why there's a gin craze. It's just literally because of the amount.
Yeah, once they've matured the whiskies up, then they'll have a backlog started, and then you can just kick on. I get you.
So we're about to have a renaissance of Irish whiskies. I've got a friend who actually does a tour of Irish whiskey stuff in Galway, sort of like the old, because there isn't anything here anymore, but there used to be, and you can see all the old distilleries along the river. A lot of them are still actually ruined and just left decaying. So hopefully, as the Renaissance takes over, these buildings will be repurposed and reused. It'd be lovely.
Start up a little Dread Waaagh brewery.
Oh yeah, squid brew.
That would be cool, man, wouldn't it? That would be cool. Don't be
giving it would be very cool, yeah.
Have your own IPA or something.
No, don't be doing that.
Don't be giving me ideas now. Get out of
there. My own. Yeah, do you know, actually, got a thing actually in the rest of Europe that's not like in England and Ireland called EPA, English Pale Ale. I was like, what? What the fuck's that? Like, I'm from England. I've never seen EPA. What the fuck? But it was there in Poland. EPA, yeah.
Interesting. And
it was made in Czech Republic.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that was the interesting thing. Made in Czech Republic, but it was English Pale Ale. Okay, where did you get the inspiration from this then? Because I've never heard of it.
English Pale Ale that's not made in England. But it's like everything. It's like your Italian spaghetti dolmio sauce that's made in the UK or Ireland or something like that. Like
oh yeah, but if the wheat's from Italy, then it counts.
Then it counts. Yeah.
That's why they play it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Depends. I know. Like
Of course, it's Madagascar and vanilla. The original seeds come from there.
yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of that. Definitely. Green was saying, well, if you're talking of kids, my youngest was in trouble one time. He had went into the workshop and painted almost everything in black oil paint. Oof.
Oh. What, miniatures?
I think
I've often wondered this actually. I don't have kids, right? I would love to have kids. I'm really good with kids, but I often wondered, people that have kids and do hobby, there must be some catastrophe stories there. I mean, like Steve-O's got young kids. I mean, like, I would dread to think that, you know, I could lose love for my child, but I think if they destroyed or ruined some of my hard-earned hobby shit, I would be fairly pissed. I think I would have a little dark side inside me that goes, you're not getting as much in my will as you was going to get.
As you got, yeah. Your cut being reduced.
Sorry, swearing again. Oh.
It's all right, don't worry.
Sorry.
The odd time
so bad for the swearing.
Yeah, right. Well, you live in Ireland. You're practically one of us now at this stage. Hans Gruber was saying, biggest hobby mistake, complain about GW wash being too glossy on Discord and noticing in the big letters the bottles are in gloss. Oh, Hans, I'm still laughing about that today. Oh man, that was hilarious. That was absolutely. This is glossy. Maybe if I shake it, it won't be glossy anymore. And then he reads the bottle, and it's like gloss.
Yeah. Do you know what I do with a lot of those shades? Is I swap them into the Vallejo bottles. So, you know, like a lot of people change. I mean, I do interdropper bottles, a lot of my paints, but for them washes, because they come in larger pots anyway, don't they? I mean, they come in fairly substantial pots. I put 2 in, or sometimes I get 3 into one of those even. And they're, you know, I end up with quite a lot of them left over because they're just the bottles that the airbrush cleaner and flow improver and stuff like that come in. So it's good to repurpose, reuse.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I've thought about transferring the paints over into dropper bottles, but I'm like, that's an awful lot of bloody effort, mate. That's an awful lot of effort. Is it too much? I'm like, I don't know.
You don't want Extinction Rebellion on your case, do you?
What, for wasting the plastics?
Yeah.
We'll find another use for them. You could have some sort of terrain building competition you could do or something like that. I don't know. You do something with them. Donate them to somebody. Or recycle them. Are they recyclable? I don't even know what type of plastic the containers are. Well, right. Does it even say? Maybe it does. I don't know. It's a bit of an interesting idea.
I'm not sure. Do you know what is interesting? Just here in Ireland, actually, is that they don't recycle at the moment soft plastics anymore because China were taking them and they're not taking it anymore. So all soft plastics, if you're putting your plastics into your recycle bin, then they're just taking that as a sign that you don't understand. So they're just mixing your recycling in with your standard rubbish because you didn't separate your soft plastics. The soft plastics aren't recycled. So if there's nothing really you can do with them. I mean, what I do with mine is I stuff them into empty plastic bottles and make eco bricks, as they're called, which is kind of handy here because we live on, you know, this kind of hippie commune, so we've got odd hippie building projects all the time. So having some little eco insulation bricks isn't a bad thing. But I don't know what the rest of the country's going to do. They're going to do with it.
Yeah,
stack it up. Wait.
I don't know.
Wait till the day that it is recycled.
I saw that it's like, I think about 95% of all of Ireland's recyclables were literally just shipped out to China or something like that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but they're not taking it anymore, so they're not recycling it anymore. That's the stupidest thing. They don't have a recycling policy anymore because they haven't got someone to palm it off onto.
Let's say a case of a country not taking care of the problem itself but pawning it off to someone else, which is not ideal.
No. Anyway, let's not do politics because we'll end up on Brexit really easy.
No, the B word. Forbidden.
Forbidden.
Dave was saying, I was going to buy a Dremel tool for engraving. What's the one you
Done
use?
by a Proxon.
Proxon.
It's German.
It's a German.
It's a
tool.
German.
And why do you prefer?
So
Jesus,
why I prefer it is because it has variable speed on the actual gun here, so you can actually take it right down, and it's got variable speed on the unit back there that I've got. Got loads of accessories just like Dremel does, but the best thing about these is there's zero wobble. There's none of that. So when you're trying to drill precisely, it's not shaking about in the end. That's something to do with the way that the what do you call this part here? The choke. Something to do with the choke on the Dremels is never quite right, and I've got a little bit of a wobble on them. These don't have any wobble, and the other difference is that they go down to a much slower speed, and that is really useful for us because we don't need such high speed some of the time. If you're, just drilling into plastic and resin, you sometimes, you want it at slower speed. So that's why I prefer them. And besides that is the fact that I've had actual terrifying experiences of cutting myself with Dremel, and some of the time I put it down to the just poor design. I'm trying to fix something that was stuck or something like that.
Yeah. I get you.
So I just think they're all round a better quality.
Where are they
product.
price-wise compared to the Dremels? Are they cheaper? Are they about the same? Are they a bit more expensive?
About the same.
Did you just where did you order it in from? Did you order it in from Germany or Amazon or something, or?
Amazon, yeah. I went through Amazon. I'd done a good bit of research first because obviously Dremel was what I thought was the top of the range, and that's what I've been using since I sort of started out. And where I was unhappy with it, I'd actually gone out and thought, well, this is a cheap piece of crap. I might as well buy a cheap piece of crap. So I bought a couple of those ones from Lidl and places like that, and they are terrible. They've got really bad wobble on them and stuff like that. So I literally have just put them aside and used those for scenery products, terrain projects and stuff like that. But I thought to myself, well, I really do want something that's decent. Surely someone makes something better. So I did some research, and I found out that a lot of the model railways guys and the more military modelling guys, a lot of them in their forums were recommending the Proxons. And then, I did a little bit more research, read up on them, realising they're German makes it sort of like an instant sort of like, oh, yes, this should be good quality. You just kind of know that, don't you?
Well, if the stereotype works and it's accurate.
It does fit. It really does.
The glove does fit.
So, yeah, fair play to them. They are very good at engineering stuff.
Not looking too bad now, that gun.
And I'm a Brit, I don't like to admit.
It's like the German stuff's good. It's like, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
In whispered breaths. It's all right.
It's not too bad. Nick Williams is here in the stream. What's the crack? Nick is saying, I swear on these ones on Amazon. Cordless rotary tool. Here's a
he sent me a link to that before. It's a cheap miniature one. Yeah, I want to get one of those actually. It does look good.
Rotary grinder for polishing.
Yeah.
And it comes with 10-piece accessories. Nice.
Wireless. Handy.
A much smaller Dremel with perfect speeds for what we want, and it's easy to hold in your hand. Easily one of my top tools.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, he sent me a link to that before, and I absolutely do intend to buy one eventually. I just haven't done an Amazon order for a long while.
On your to buy list.
Yeah. I've always, I don't know about other people, but generally, like with all the different companies out, like Green Stuff World, and well, actually, with regards to Green Stuff World, I get that all on Hobby Mad now. But like all the different companies that are out, Kromlech and all the third parties and stuff. I generally always have like a running cart with them, which is why I find it annoying with some of them when your cart disappears. Or
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But yeah, or especially with some of those websites where when you click back from having added an item to your shopping cart, it doesn't go back to page 16 that you was on. It goes back to page 1. So you're like, oh god. So after you've spent literally 2 hours putting a shopping cart together, and you're like, okay, like I'm not going to buy this yet though because it's just come to 300 quid. So I don't know weigh up which bits I necessarily need and maybe buy them at another time. But yeah, I'll go somewhere else and make the small order that I was going to make. So I've got several shopping carts running at a time quite often.
I find it hilarious. I do exactly the same thing.
So yeah. Well, I've just submitted a couple of shopping carts on a few smaller sites that I had, a few small ones, because I'd actually had a little bit of funding through my Patreon and the Buy Me a Coffee. So I have got myself some orc stencils for airbrushing. Yeah, from a company in the US. I can't quite remember their name now. No, it's not North Star. North Star was the company for the Gaslands, wasn't it? No, I can't remember the name of them. But yeah, I'll be doing an unboxing review on them on the channel anyway when I get hold of them. And I've also got
booth.
That's why I need to get my spray booth finished. I've also got some Kromlech stuff on the way because I've still got some Orktober bits from them to arrive. It's just where, like you say, they are the people that made a big effort beforehand and then dropped everything on the first day, and a lot of it is limited. They've had unprecedented sales, I would assume, because they're a little bit delayed in getting stuff out to people because they've had to obviously make more. So good for them.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I said, they're the ones who put the effort in, so
yeah, I hope
they, them, like, you know what I mean?
I hope they reap the reward and they do well from it. And if they do anyway, this is the thing. It's like, if you want GW to do more, then support those that are doing what GW should be doing, and GW will soon see that. They'll soon be like, "Oh crap, we've really missed a trick here, haven't we?" Like,
need to get the finger out, yeah, and this is it. Obviously, you know, they'll see that there's a I can put the binocular arms in the skies. They'll see what they're missing out on, and that there's a demand. So it's win-win. Like, these small parties get a. Say what I wanted. Small parties get the sales, and then Games Workshop eventually will wake up to all these demand that there is, and then we'll get stuff from Games Workshop. You know what I mean?
well, eventually, hopefully, they realise that they can't compete on terms of trying to block people out with legislation.
Yeah,
sometimes
they do that.
Stop it from happening by just writing your rules to push people out, because people will eventually just make rules that overdo your rules and people won't use your system anymore because it's just too restricted.
I find that funny, like that the likes of WYSIWYG and whatever else that's in the 40k sort of fan base. You do see it cropping up in other groups and things, like the likes of Gaslands and stuff, where it's sort of a mentality that's built up, I suppose, because I find that players tend to be conditioned, because that's the way Games Workshop wants you to be, is just their stuff. So
now you're touching on a totally new subject that I've only just started realising about as well from frequenting the Gaslands community, is the effect of Games Workshop players entering Gaslands. There's so many of us that are conditioned to think a certain way, like you're saying, that are now getting into Gaslands and are now community with community force. They're driving the meta and everything of Gaslands according to their Games Workshop experience, which is pissing off good few people that are pure Gaslands heads that are completely not into Games Workshop products. I've noticed, which obviously I am a GW, fanboy, even if I do diss them a lot. So I kind of understand from both sides, and it is interesting to sort of observe, because it seems like if we're not careful, we're going to be seen as a bit of a poison in other communities. If we keep insisting on GW sizing things, so maybe don't try and force the WYSIWYG into Gaslands. If you want to do it, fine. Don't insist on other people to do it.
Yeah, I think that's where the problem kicks in, is when
But I've already seen people trying to, or I've seen particularly, is like I say, GW players that are asking the questions on how to get the absolute maximum best out of their builds, and like what teams are winning the most games and stuff, what loadouts are winning. It's like, dude, you're totally not coming at this from the right mentality.
Or DM's here. What's the crack, DM? Yeah, I think it's that sort of old school mentality. I think Gorka Morka had a bit of that as well, where it was, you could easily meta the game, you know what I mean, if you wanted to, but it's not that type of game. And I think a large problem is that 40k has conditioned people that it's all rules is written and everything has to be WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get, in case anyone's wondering. It's where everything literally has to be what it's supposed to be. So when there's a rules change, this is where you see old school orc players or people that are already established pissing and moaning. It's because they'll physically have to change their models or buy new ones for the new WYSIWYG.
Built something particularly special, completely custom yourself to fit in with those rules, and then they remove it from the book because their model's shite and they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that ties into why you get backlash from established players when stuff is changed. Just to put it into context, because maybe there's some people out there who are only new to the hobby and they're like, why are all these older players pissing and moaning about everything? And it's like, but to put it into context, it's because it comes from WYSIWYG is part of the problem, where if something is drastically changed or options are taken away, then that sort of builds on the whole, your model's supposed to physically have what it's supposed to have. So nobody likes chopping and changing in the really cool custom jobs that they've done.
Their painted miniatures no longer playable,
Yeah, there's a bit of that, you know what I mean? Prime example, poor Steve-O with his looted truck and rocket launcher, and then they got rid of the rocket launchers. He was a bit disheartened over that, but he'll soldier on. Hans Gruber, big mech with custom force field by now.
Yeah, everybody made a cool one too. Yeah. It's one of those things that you do custom. It's like a war boss, isn't it? Your big mech with custom force field. Most people like to make their own.
Right, gent, it's going to be the last call for the Discord work in progress. Get your stuff up into the link. Beforehand, we're going to go have a look before we wrap things up. So,
more green
the Discord. I don't even know how long we're streaming now. We're going that long. Look.
No, we're all right. We're still within there.
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left, so we'll have a look at the work in progress, gents. We've managed to rivet main barrel of the gun for the crack. And then I'm starting to look at different turrets and stuff like that. I should really be working on the body.
Well, I have I've not done much. I have added some green stuff to a cable on the flash kit. I've added some green stuff to some cables on a looter boy. And made some rivets out of green stuff. That's about all I have to. Oh, and I'm also green stuff in a shovel and an orc's arm. I'm actually putting a metal arm onto this resin body that I've put.
Take a picture, Dread, and throw it in the Discord because you're coming up a bit blocky there. It's just your signal.
Okay.
Take a picture and show it in the Discord, and we'll have a gander. So we'll go have a look. Discord. Jump over there now, gents. Ahoy! It's worked. It's amazing. Alright, so what have we got? Poe Cactus is working on his Mega Grot tank. Chipping away at it. He's absolutely cladding it with detail. Let's have a look. Have a look. Oh yeah, look. All the green stuff welds. I like it. I like it. Try taking a bit easy on the old super glue. You've been very generous. but I can understand why. It's probably the plastic that the toy is made from. It does not help. I do like this miniature. It's cool, and I do like that you're putting in extra little details and go. and bits and bobs. And I like the fact that you've used the terrain scenery. The galvanic servo haulers. There you go. I even remember the name of them. The only tip I'd give you is take it a bit easy on the old super glue. You frosted the bejesus out of it, but it'll be grand. It gives it a bit of texture. You know what I mean? A good laugh. But yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm liking the wells that you've put in, the green stuff wells. I've noticed them straight away. They look proper schwank, they does. Yeah, nice. Nice use of an old tractor. We have Gorka Marcos working on his flyer. Yeah, look at that, man. Look at the bust is a bust. 40. Like it. Nice paint job. This is the... Oh, you've used the nose. I see what you've done here. You've used the nose from the Rasbon Blaster Jet, but it looks like it's set up as a Dakka Jet. Because it's got all of the guns. I like it. I like it. All of the guns. Pilot's looking
there
nice.
you go, I've had in mind.
And then... It's a different one now. I think this is a different flyer. Yeah, this is a different flyer. It's a different flyer with a different different pilot. You can tell because he has this corrugated bit here. Adding that on, or maybe he's changed the head. Sure.
That's my
Different gun. Yeah, it's the same flyer. He's working. Checks and dags. Nice. Some nice progress being done here. I'm liking the metal tray he's got for his little miniatures. Nice and tidy. And that it's deep so that you won't knock stuff off. Swank. Nice progress on that flyer. Adler working on Kromlech stuff. He's got some Kromlech crew. It's a nice crew for his vehicle. Got a Death Roller sprue. Working on his build.
I can't see. Video's still just loading. That's how good my internet is.
I'm racing too quickly. Oh look, somebody's found a use, Dread, for that that terrain piece, that bleeding mech workshop, that arm. Someone's found a use for it.
Oh yeah.
And it's actually pretty decent.
The grabbing claw.
Yeah, the grabbing claw. I've actually seen I think 1 or 2 conversions where people have used them for power claws for warbosses, so you can put them to good use. Like it's not bad for the bits. So I think it's just the general composition of the piece itself. And,
well, the problem with it is that rules. You know, yeah. I mean, the rules for it suck. But then also, if you was to, it doesn't have proper rules because the rules should state what size it is or what base it's on, but it doesn't. So you could literally make a mech garage the size of the bloody table and just say, yeah, this is my mech garage. I'm in it. You know, like, unless that model is defined as the only way you can play a mech garage, which it doesn't define. It doesn't define what it is. It doesn't define the dimensions or anything. That's the issue I have with it. It's like, look, I think a lot of people would scratch build their own if only you gave the actual dimensions of what this should be.
I think all it needed for that was a custom scenery base.
Yeah.
Base that it's sat on. I think,
yeah. Absolutely.
That would have fixed that problem. But I'm liking that there's WAAAAGH front. We have custom tracks here. Look at the detail on the side of that dirty. A lot of plastic art detailing going on. A lot of texture stuff. Well, give us a rear view. Oh, yeah.
Dirty.
Dirty. Look at the back of that. Whoa.
Yes, it's working for me now. There we are.
It is proper swank. Yeah, he's even got the tool rack up on the side. This looks proper swank, man.
That is nice, man.
It is. LEDs sticking out and everything. This is looking very promising. I like the progress on this. Texture card. Nice. Bit of diamond plate there. A bit of grid.
Yeah,
plate.
but what's so lovely about that is that's clearly very orky, but clearly functional. You know, you can see that that's a functional vehicle. It's not ridiculous. It's clearly functional.
You can see this working. Yeah. I like it that way. Very inspired by the old Battle. Yeah. Oh, there, look, there's the back. That's the door off the battle wagon. That lovely. It's
Ah,
little.
yeah.
It's the little details like this where you're putting in a piece that
Yeah.
isn't lost. And I think it goes back
Yeah.
to. Do you remember you were talking about so that there's key elements of a build project,
Yeah.
but then it's not overwhelmed. So they're the visual focal points. I think this is a good example of what you were talking about earlier.
Absolutely perfect example. Yeah, because right there, all of that detail there that is beside the door, once that's painted up and stuff, that draws your eye then to the door.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, you'll see the arm first, then you'll get probably interest into the back, and then it's like, oh, the toolbox, the tools,
Yeah.
the door. You're getting the whole sort of
Yeah.
mech build, scrap, retrieval vibe off of it. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Very good composition. Very good. And yeah, very good. Very promising. Looking forward to seeing that finished up. With Hans Gruber, he's working away on his build.
I'll tell you what, actually, you can get some cool orc doors from Ramshackle Games that are just like the battle. They're resin cast from. They're basically the exact same size as the battle wagon doors. So there's a load of orky ones that are really cool and really nice details. So definitely recommend checking them out.
Nice.
I've got a box of sort of battle wagon doors, and a lot of them are from Ramshackle.
Of Hans Gruber's build, and it is looking like it. It looks very sturdy. Yeah, it looks like it would take a hit or two. Do you know what I mean? It looks very.
Yeah, you ain't pushing it over.
Yeah, you ain't gonna push it over, that type of thing. You know what I mean? It has that sort of solid look to it.
Yeah,
It really does.
Plow through a desert, no trouble.
That looks absolutely cracking. That does, and then you know you're drawn in by the tracks again. Massive visual feature. But then,
I like the grills on the over the engine.
Yeah. I was about to say all the little details. The grills over the engine, the slats, cracking, the teeth at the front. Then you know when you're looking at stuff like the teeth, the lights. You know,
I feel like that back part needs something where the flat edge.
I think there's probably going to be a gun here or something. I expect there's probably going to be stuff.
Yeah, there will be there. I'm talking about the flat bit just above that at the back.
But around here.
No, further back than that, at the back of it.
There.
Yeah. Needs something more there.
Oh, there we go. Look, we'll have a look at the back. Look at that. You know, that's nice. That's really nice. The first piece of detailing that I really like on this is.
Do you know, a light on inside there would be so cool.
Like a red or a green LED or something. That'd be cracking. But that
door,
man. Look at how thick that door is, man. That looks.
Yeah.
That looks proper chunky.
I like the two mounted guns either side as well. Just come run that door, get operating one of those.
Nice theme to it. Yeah, definitely. This is a cracking build as well, man. Cracking build. I love the little thumbs up in the corner.
I actually like the fact that the guns are posed in the way that they'd be left if you actually left them, because a lot of the time people when they yeah, exactly. A lot of people's guns, and I've done it myself, are actually posed in a way that they would be used if they were being operated, not if they were just left stationary, and that's correct the way he's done it there.
It's the nice little touches. It's the little things in builds. It really builds up the character. That's really nice, man.
And it's stuff like that you realise once you see someone else do it, you go, I could have done that. I didn't do that. Why did I do that?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. We've interior detail as well. Yeah, so they're going to be a big Zog and gun sticking out of this.
Oh, cool. The roof lid comes off.
Cracking. Absolutely cracking. But even, what was it, Steve?
That's like loading the shells for that gun on the other side. That's what that is.
Yeah. This one seems to be the driver with the walkie bits. This is off of the Korkamorka Big Lugger.
Do you know what I reckon? I reckon that's actually inspired by what I was saying earlier, the Cruiser Skullhammer. I bet he looked at an image of that, because that is exactly what's going on in the cab of that. Is somebody loading a shell into the... he might have done, I'm not sure, but it looks very much like it. And it's a really well-known build. It's very much out there.
I really liked it.
If it is, it's a brilliant homage to it. If not, then wow, you've
he's got It's got a little can as well.
It can.
There's a little. Do you remember like years back in the 90s? There was a war buggy, a gold demon war buggy. I can't read it, but it might be Orktober or something. I don't know.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a little can, more little detail. Oh, it's.
Do you remember them the killer cans that were done as beer cans, like the Guinness one and the Heineken?
Yeah.
Do you remember them? Yeah, they were
cracking, man. Nice. There's a lot of detail in here. It's really good. Like it. I wasn't expecting the lid to come off. That's absolutely cracking, man. Gork got to run some boys smokes, but here's what ended up tonight's paint session. Now he's gone out get some fags. Where are these from? These are what are they called? It's not Warlord. It's the guys who do oh, my brain is not working at the moment. But these orcs, they're what's that sci-fi line? Guys who do Kings of War. I've forgotten the company's name.
It's not Raging Heroes, is it?
No, it's not Raging Heroes. It's the sci-fi orcs. He seems to be painting up his nice he's done them in purple, the commandos. They're sneaky gits.
He does a lot of his stuff in purple, though.
He does do a lot of his stuff in purple. He's cracking on.
Yeah.
Love it. He's cracking on. Nice progress on it. Orc stuff. Clean up the non-square bits that the paint showed up. My God. look at the radial engine on that. That thing must be massive. Absolutely massive.
Whoa! It's got his signature all over it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's orc stuff, man. He has his own sort of style and aesthetic. It's just crazy. He's one of the few people who like. Do you remember we were talking about making him paint and stuff?
You instantly, if you see his stuff, you're like, oh yeah, that's orc stuff.
Yeah, that's orc stuff. Yeah, there's no mistake in it. Like, it's like you don't even have to glance in it. It's like, yeah, that's orc stuff. That's his style. It's the way he goes about it. Yeah. Absolutely cracking.
Such a cool way to be.
Noticeable
style.
Weighs a ton, man. All that milliput, but it is cool. It is really cool. And the thing with orc stuff is, if I'm not mistaken, he's an engineer of some form or another. So when he builds stuff, like, it has to look like it would actually work. You know what I mean? Because I remember looking at his gargant that was in quotes a stomper, and he was showing me, and he built a whole pulley mechanism where if you pulled one thing, it would launch a rocket. No, it's just crazy to build. But that is looking well impressive, man. And you can see the base metal here that he's been shaping and sculpting over and bullet holes, and yeah, cracking job. I look forward to that as well, man. I know what you're like, orc stuff.
Good stuff, orc stuff.
Good stuff. Here's that mini Dreadnought he was on about. Stuck a little wrench on the.
Yeah,
that's the one he was on about from Amazon. They're looking apparently decent. Squig Boss is painting. Nice Squig Boss. Very tidy. Throw some sand on that base or some texture, and you'll be laughing.
What's he got in front of his base there? A gold thing?
I don't know. It looks like some like bitsy gubbins or something like that, or a cut off of somewhere.
Looks like a big bottle cap.
Yeah, maybe a big bottle cap or the arse end of a barrel that's buried in the ground. I'm not too sure.
Or a dog ball.
Or it could be a dog ball. Could be a squig hound ball. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Only time will tell. But yeah, these are looking nice. Squig Boss will definitely pipe up and tell us in the chat. Don't worry. Oh, and Dame's working on his Blood Bowl team. He's got his Noblars that they're all painted up in
I like the outfits.
Team colours. They're all in jerseys and numbers. Nice.
They're football jerseys, are they? Is that Arsenal there?
Yeah, it looks like Chelsea, Arsenal, Man U.
Yeah.
They're the ones I know off the top of my head. Yeah. They look cracking, man.
I do like me a themed army. Or
I was literally about to say very thematic.
Yeah.
Very thematic. Yeah.
They always stick in your memory, though, don't they? I mean, just like I was saying there with those killer cans. You remember them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's always that type of stuff that sticks in your brain.
Same way as the commandos that are in barrels and stuff like that, and the ones with they're holding up the sign saying "Beakies, help me, please," you know.
Yeah. But this is the one you're working on.
Oh yeah. Amongst other things.
Metal knob arm, is it?
Yeah.
Metal
Just
knob arm.
green stuff in that into place.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. Yeah.
Well, I've metal pinned it and.
Yeah, did you pin through his arm?
Yeah.
There's a blob there. Yeah, yeah. I would have done that myself, to be honest with you, just to get it secure.
Well, I was gonna just pin. Them metal ones are very, very thin, so I was actually just gonna, put the pin in a certain depth, but it ended up drilling straight through anyway. So then I was like, well, do you know what?
In for the pound at that stage, yeah.
At least then I can drill through from the other side and line it up just perfect with where I want it to go in the socket. So yeah, win some, lose some.
Yeah, cool. Start.
The other lad, there's my commando dude that I was trying to show, but the camera wasn't showing it very well.
Oh, so alright, so this is the one you were trying to show us. Nice, where'd you get the grenades? They look swank.
I think they're guard grenades or from Space Marines or something like that.
Yeah, some of the bits I can tell, it's like this is off the flash kits, that shoulder pad.
Yeah.
I think that's a Spellcrow claw, is it? I think that's a Spellcrow.
Yeah, I think it's a Spellcrow claw and I think a Spellcrow head and then a Kromlech body, I think from one of their very earliest miniatures that was like just a general boss with a hand or a claw or something going on that was a bit more fisty than that one. So, and it just so happened that I was just looking at it and looking at that claw arm, I just noticed that the arms, the muscle structure was almost identical. So just, creating a cut along just in the right place, I could actually sandwich them together without too much work at all.
Oh, nice. Sweet when that happens.
Yeah.
Standing on your little rivet maker that you're putting your spare green stuff into. I need to get one of these myself because I just bought another roll of green stuff because I want to do weld lines and stuff. So
you get two in the set. You get two. So there's a choice between sort of square, round, hex. Yeah, there's quite a few and different sizes, of course.
And then who's this git? He was got Snickrot's arm.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's where that came from. Yeah. He's a flash git, isn't he? That's because that arm's got loads of chains wrapped around it, isn't it?
Yeah, chains with I think they're dog tags. I think.
Yeah, so like he's fairly swank. That's why he's a flash git, and he's got that
flash. Well, he looks it all right, definitely.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go, yeah, on him. But yeah, I'm just doing cables and stuff like this.
I'm loving I love how it's like I recognize the flash git arm that would normally just be a pistol, and it's this big, ostentatious, over the top gun.
Yeah, las gun or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That is class. I like that build. That is hilarious. And I think that's it. That's all of our Discord work in progress, folks. I think we've been cracking on now we're going on the 2 hour and 10-minute mark. So I think we'll.
Where are we heading after this? Are we going to be on the Discord?
Yeah. Well, after this, I'm going to be ordering myself some pizza, but you'll find me on the Discord. So if anybody wants to join, feel free to drop into the Discord and we'll all have a little bit of banter. I'll keep cracking away on my rivets. With the spec Dread Waaagh, I'll keep cracking away at his kill team build and doing rivets and stuff. But it's been good crack, Dread. I think we've hit a few key points. Good crack.
Don't forget to try and win this.
Exactly. So get in on that competition. If Dread wants to show up a link there, fire it away before we wrap it up.
I'll put it in the description. I already put it at the beginning of the chat. If you scroll up to the top of the chat, it's up there.
That requires effort in scrolling.
It does, yeah. I'll put it in the video.
that requires effort. Right.
Oh, you'll put it in the video description because
I'll put it in the top of the description. There you go. Exactly. I've got that angle covered. But it's if anyone's still sticking around doing the hobby, we'll be in the Discord shortly. Thanks for sticking around and watching us. If you like the videos, if you're not subscribed to myself or Dread Waaagh, get your ass subscribed, hit bell buttons, all those shenanigans, and we'll see you in the next one. So take it easy, guys. Hey, bye, Dread.
Bye, Dread.
Good luck.